Hey folks, welcome back to Marshall Business Matters. I'm Paul. Today we're talking about one of the fundamental rules of interacting with other people, one of the fundamental laws that governs interpersonal relationships. Stay tuned to find out how the law of reciprocity can be just as impactful and meaningful for your team members as it can for your clients. So what is the law of reciprocity? The law of reciprocity, simply stated, states that as people experience you doing for them, they will want to do for you. That's kind of broad strokes oversimplifying what the law of reciprocity really is, but for the purposes of this conversation, as people experience you do for them, you doing for them, they will want to do for you. And the law of reciprocity plays an enormous role in credibility between you and clients, but also credibility and the impact of your relationships with you and your team members, whether you are running a small martial arts school and you've got somebody helping you at the front desk, or if you're running a larger program and you've got multiple instructors or program managers or program directors running around, getting all of the things done around the school. You've got a team, then this video is for you. And there is a part 2 to this video, the law of reciprocity in regard to interacting with your clients, and I'll link that video, put a title card right here, and then I'll link it down below as well so that you can piggyback, go right from part 1 to part 2. But part 1, law of reciprocity, and how it affects your interactions with team members. So number 1, who is a team member? Well, a team member is anybody who works with you or for you in your school. And like I said before, that can be a front desk manager, that can be somebody who's helping you out with your bookkeeping, that can be an instructor, a paid instructor, a staff member who runs classes or teaches a specific age group or whatever. These team members, they exist, they're in your school. And you can have volunteer team members, right? Team member doesn't necessarily mean someone that you pay a wage or a salary to in exchange for their services. A lot of schools, in fact, have volunteer team members in one way or another. Students volunteer to help keep the place clean. You might have somebody who volunteers to teach a particular class. You might have somebody who volunteers to help you with bookkeeping or volunteers to help you with putting on events. Volunteerism is big in the martial arts community, and it's, I think, kind of a cultural component to, discipline, courtesy, and respect, but that's neither here nor there. Point being, team member, not necessarily someone that you are paying money to, even if you are a badass at making money, it's not necessarily somebody that you're paying money to for their services or for their help. A team member is really anyone who's working in the business, at the school, in the school, on the school, to help promote its growth and success. But the first component that I would share in regard to the law of reciprocity, again, as people experience you doing for them, they will want to do for you, is if you are paying people, then you have to be paying them a fair wage. People aren't dumb. People know what their time is worth, or they have an idea of what their time is worth. And if you're not paying them a fair wage, then you are not offering a truly mutually beneficial relationship to that individual. And again, as I've said in many, many, many of my other videos, a mutually beneficial relationship where everyone wins, where everyone is wealthier in one way or another for the engagement, is or should be the goal of your relationships. So if you're not paying your instructors, for example, a fair wage, if you're paying them, I don't know, $10 an hour, they can make that at McDonald's, right? Work there for a couple of years, maybe get to junior management. They can make that at McDonald's. And McDonald's has a 401k, and McDonald's has credit for collegiate education and education assistance programs. So on face value, at least on paper, if you're paying your instructors $10 an hour, they're better off making that same $10 an hour at McDonald's than they are working at your school. I kind of hate to say it that way or put it in or frame it that way. I like McDonald's as much as the next person. I enjoy their French fries, but I don't think that anyone has any great illusions that it's a fantastic place to work, or that the prospects for dramatically improving your lot in life are great working at McDonald's. So thinking about it in that perspective, saying if you're only paying X dollars an hour and McDonald's is paying the same X dollars an hour, you're probably not really meeting the ends for your staff, for your instructors. That said, you don't want to overpay them. You want them to be paid fairly. And what does fair pay look like? Well, that's going to depend a lot on your demographics. That's going to depend a lot on where you are in the country and things like that. But this actually leads directly into another component of the law of reciprocity, which is inclusion. Include the people that you pay at your school in the conversation about what they're being paid and why they're being paid, what they're being paid, and how they're being paid. You can find out a lot about expectations and standards just by communicating with your staff members, with your team members. Say, hey, this is kind of what we were thinking about paying you to teach classes here. Does that seem fair to you? Does that seem like it's a fair wage? Is it enough money? Is it too much money? Have that conversation with people, and the stronger your interpersonal relationship with that person before having the conversation about money, the more honest and open that conversation about the money is really going to be. And if you don't educate them about why they're being paid what they're being paid, then you might breed resentment and not even know it. You might literally only be able to afford in the school's operating budget $400 a month, and say, well, gosh, that's literally all I've got to spend on the floor help. You have that conversation with your instructors, and you say, hey, I'd love to pay you $25 an hour. I'd love to, but here's the budget. Here's the payroll sheets. This is how much I have to spend, and so I want to have the conversation about what I'm going to get for what I have to spend. I don't want to overwork you and not pay you enough, but at the same time, I need X, Y, or Z help at the school, and these are the classes I need run, so let's have that conversation. You educate them about why they're being paid what they are and how they're being paid, then you're going to have not only a more fruitful relationship with them, and I guarantee a longer term relationship with them, but you're also going to have a more open and mutually beneficial relationship with them. And then you want to make sure that you're giving your team members the resources to learn more and therefore earn more. You want to make sure that you give your team members the resources to learn more and earn more. Because yeah, we all love the martial arts. Certainly it's unlikely that you started a martial arts school or a martial arts club because you had no intention of at least paying the overhead on it. So money is a motivating factor, and certainly for any team members, money is a motivating factor, and so giving them resources to learn more and earn more is important. Say, listen, you're a young instructor, you're not probably qualified to teach advanced level classes, but you could teach the basic classes, and with that type of education, with that type of expertise, then I think you're probably worth X dollars a month to teach this particular schedule of classes that are the basic classes. But I'm not going to hold you back. I want you to be able to earn more. I want you to have that opportunity. So I'm going to provide you the resources and the education that you need in order to grow as an instructor and become more and more capable so that you can teach the intermediate or the advanced classes and therefore be worth more in negotiation because your expertise is worth more. That's how the free market works, and I'm not going to hold you back. I'm going to help you actually progress through that. So kind of that 3 points with the staff members, with the team members: pay them fairly, educate them, inform them, enlighten them about what they're being paid and why they're being paid that, and how they're being paid, and then give them the resources to get paid more. Just that simple, that 3-step easy process for figuring out how and what and when to pay people will yield much more fruitful relationships. And it is the law of reciprocity in effect, because that effort on your part, that conversation on your part will be appreciated by your team members. They will see that you meaningfully want to help them, you want to pay them fairly, you want to engage them in conversations about money and how much they're making, and you also want them to be able to make more when the time is right and their education justifies it. They will want then to help support you. Mutually beneficial relationship. Everyone is wealthier from the experience. So another way that you can exercise the law of reciprocity with your team members is by setting standards and expectations for how you communicate with your team members. If you come down and you chat with your team members, if you talk with your team members, if you have a casual conversation with your team members and they really feel like they're part of the decision-making process, for example, then you're going to have a much more favorable relationship with those team members than if you just storm in and start issuing dictates and mandates and memorandums and issuing rules from on high. Because what we know about human psychology is this: people value being heard and people value being helpful. So the money is important, right? We can't pretend like the money's not important. And if you're not willing to have a conversation about money with team members, then you shouldn't have team members. But as important as the money is, we understand from the perspective of human psychology that almost as important as the money is the importance of feeling like you are valuable and valued. Valuable and valued, and again, that is being helpful and being heard, the two big H's. You want your team members to always feel like they're helpful and heard individuals within the school. Now, that doesn't mean it's a democracy, right? Somebody is still running the business, somebody's still in charge of the business, somebody still has to call the shots, somebody has to still make all the big decisions. But involving your team in that decision-making process, again, it does everything I just said it does. It makes them feel helpful, and it makes them feel heard. But two, if you give your team members a voice and you make them feel that kind of ownership of the school's success or failure, not only do you tickle their brain and say, this is your success story, just like it's my success story, just like it's the school as an entity's success story. You kind of give them that feeling of empowerment to say, yeah, I helped build this. But also, more voices in the conversation never hurts. It never hurts to have more voices in the conversation. If you're thinking about making a big decision about the schedule or about the timing of your classes, or if you're thinking about adding some sort of new program to the roster, you should involve your team members, because they will come to you with enlightened ideas and opinions and thoughts that you might not have considered. You might not have considered every avenue, every angle, every potential pitfall or upswing of an idea. And by involving your team members, you're going to gather more thoughts and opinions and ideas, and that's only going to help you make a considered, informed decision. As the captain of the ship, it's your job to decide which direction to turn the rudder, but you listen to your navigation officer, you listen to the stargazer, you listen to the person up in the crow's nest, making sure that there's nothing in your way before you give the order to turn the wheel. That's how a successful business works. That's why successful businesses almost invariably move to a corporate structure where there's a president, a CEO, a CFO, a secretary, and all of those individuals come together to help make really big decisions. The CEO takes all the credit and the blame, naturally, but at the end of the day, that team helps the ship sail smoothly. So that's another way that you engage with the law of reciprocity. You make people on your team feel like they're really part of a team and not just a tangential person running around doing their own thing. They're part of a team. And again, as they see you doing for them, they will want to do for you. You have included them in your team. You've made them part of the process. You've made them part of the success story. So now they want to reciprocate, and they want to be a good functioning part of the process. They want to be a good team member. And so that cohesiveness comes into play, that camaraderie comes into play, that motivation of mutual spirit where, hey, this is what we've got on the horizon. This is how we're going to get there. We're going to get there together. TEAM, together, everyone achieves more. Another way that you can motivate team members through the law of reciprocity is by providing SPiffs. This is a term that I picked up when I was in the car business years and years and years ago. And this is basically a small, cash bonus that you provide to team members when they perform a particular task. So I'll give you a great example of one of the SPiffs that I run in my school that works really, really well with team members. And I'll tell you why I run this SPiff and why it's so powerful. Anytime the school gets a Google review that's 5 stars, and in that Google review, a particular team member is named, the named team member gets a $50 bonus. They get a $50 cash bonus. Anytime a Google review comes in and it's a 5-star Google review and it names a particular team member, that team member gets a $50 cash bonus right then and there. And this is what I call a SPiff. And again, I picked that up from the car industry. But the idea here is so multifaceted, it could be its own separate video. But to put it into a nutshell, number one, this engages your team members in soliciting Google reviews. I have an entire video, I'll link it up here and then I'll link it down below on Google reviews and why your school probably isn't getting nearly as many Google reviews as it should be. So check that link out. But in a nutshell, when you are offering a reward, essentially, it's like a bounty on a review to your team members, and all they have to do to get that review is get somebody to get that money is to get somebody to give a review and name them. That encourages them to solicit reviews. And that can really help ramp up your reviews. But more importantly, it makes them feel like they're part of the process. So they're now part of the process of the school's success story. They want to be part of the process of the school's success story. Again, going back to my previous statement, they want to be part of the team. They want to be part of the success story. They want to be able to say, yes, I helped build this. And to reward them along the way is only is icing on the cake. So they solicit the review, they get the review, it names them by name, they get the cash. The other thing that does is, in addition to helping get more reviews for the school, getting more money into your team members' pockets, making them feel like they're part of the process, but again, it is empowering them, or empowering them through the law of reciprocity. Remember, going back to one of my very first statements, you want to give them resources to learn more and earn more. The Google Review SPiff is a resource through which they can earn more. So that law of reciprocity, again, they see you helping them, they see you giving them opportunities, empowering them, not giving them something, but empowering them to change their own destiny, to be more successful, to make more money. You are providing them with resources to help them, and at the same time, it helps you. So once again, we have a mutually beneficial relationship. You and your team members, they're working hard to get Google reviews for the school's becoming more successful. That gives them, that brings in more students. That's more people that they can solicit Google reviews from. And this works with private lessons. This works with pro shop sales. So you might have a SPiff for selling a private lesson package. You might have a SPiff for upselling in the pro shop. There are ways to encourage and nurture people to actively and proactively do things that directly affect the business in a positive way that also helps them be more successful. Another way that you engage with your team members and you enact the law of reciprocity, again, as they experience you doing for them, they want to do for you. Be nice to your team members. Right? This is not rocket science. This is simple, little, small acts of kindness, small affirmations that make them feel good about themselves, but more importantly, make them feel good about the work that they're doing and the work that they're doing within their role in your school as a team member in your school. So, buy them dinner from time to time. Take them out to a local restaurant, or order in a pizza for your next team meeting. Um, you know, when it comes to holiday times, give them a holiday gift. I would encourage a cash bonus on top of anything, tangible, but give, be giving, be generous. And really this is an immediate function of your school's success. Because obviously if your school is more successful and as your school becomes more successful, your school will have more money coming in, which directly affects the operating budget, but it also probably affects the amount of money that's coming into your personal pocket. And so when you're generous with your team members, again, the law of reciprocity, they see you doing for them or they experience you doing for them and they want to do for you. Now, you give you buy your team members a pizza, they're not going to turn around and buy a pizza for you, but they are probably going to be reminded that they're part of a team and it's going to be reiterated to them subconsciously, psychologically, that you do for them. You take care of them. You care about them. You want them to be successful. You buy them food from time to time. You pay them well. You engage with them. You give them opportunities to learn more and earn more. And as a result, not a nice way to say it, they work harder. They're not just disinterested, dissatisfied retail workers, who are eyeing the clock every time that they're in your building. They're an engaged team member who's actively working toward the success of your school. Show them through your actions, not through your words, although you should tell them through your words, but show them through your actions that when the school is more successful, they are more successful. When the school is more successful, they are more successful. I use with my team members the example of private lessons. I say, hey, private lessons are one of the best ways that you can make extra money as a team member here. You can set your own schedule. You can solicit your own clients. You sell private lessons. The school gets a little bit off the top. It's not much. Keep the lights on and pay for the insurance basically, but you get to pocket most of what comes in on a private lesson. So to a certain extent, your income is only limited by your salesmanship. But also, the more private lessons you sell, then the easier it is to sell private lessons. But two, the more private lessons you sell, the better your retention numbers are within the school generally. And as a result of that, the more people you have to sell private lessons to. You go out and you get more Google reviews, you get a little bit of something for that, and then that helps bring more students into the school, and that's more people that you can solicit more Google reviews from, and more people that you can sell private lessons to. The more students that come into the school, the more likely it is that the school needs to expand the class schedule and offer more teaching opportunities to the team members. And so you see it just goes on and on and on. It's the law of reciprocity. It's a reciprocal relationship. You do for your team members do for you. You do for your team members do for you. And it's not just the law of reciprocity, but it's also the law of average growth. The more the school grows, then the more successful your team members are, or at least, at the very least, the more opportunities your team members have to increase their own level of success. And so keep this in mind when you're working with team members, when you're identifying team members, when you're talking with team members about money and class schedules and pay schedules and different ways that you're going to help engage with them. Remember the law of reciprocity. They don't work for you, but on paper. They work with you to help the school, to help your club, to help your programs be more successful. And when your school, your club, your programs are more successful, then you and your team members are more successful. That's the message here. That's the message. A mutually beneficial relationship that engages you and your team members through the law of reciprocity can only improve everyone's lives. And I'll leave you again with the acronym TEAM. TEAM. Together, everyone achieves more. Thank you so much for watching. Tune in next time. And remember, you watch Marshall Business Matters because Marshall Business matters. Take care.